On the morning of October 12, 2025, calm waters surrounded Pag-asa Island, a remote outpost in the heart of the South China Sea. The sun rose over the horizon, casting a golden glow on the tranquil sea, and for a moment, it seemed like just another peaceful day in this contested region. On board the BRP Datu Pagbuaya, the Philippine Coast Guard crew readied themselves for what they expected to be a routine patrol, checking equipment and scanning the horizon for any signs of trouble. Their mission was to safeguard local fishermen and assert the Philippines' presence in these disputed waters. But the peace was shattered when several large Chinese Coast Guard vessels, accompanied by maritime militia ships, suddenly appeared on the horizon. The sight was unmistakable, white hulls and imposing silhouettes moving in tight formation, signaling a show of force. The Chinese ships closed in, circling the smaller Philippine vessels with aggressive maneuvers meant to intimidate and assert dominance. Their navigation was calculated, designed to send a clear warning to the outnumbered Filipino crew. The Philippine crew, vastly outnumbered and facing a formidable flotilla, watched anxiously as the situation escalated just kilometers from their home island. Tension was thick in the air, every movement on deck deliberate and cautious. What began as a mission to support local fishermen instantly transformed into a tense standoff. The Chinese flotilla openly challenged the Philippines' presence, their ships forming a blockade that threatened to cut off access to the sea. For the crew of the BRP Datu Pagbuaya, this was no longer a routine patrol. It was a direct confrontation, a test of nerves, discipline, and resolve. Each decision could have far-reaching consequences. The waters around Pag-asa are not just strategic, they are home to Filipino civilians whose livelihoods depend on safe access to the sea. For generations, these fishermen have relied on these rich fishing grounds to feed their families and sustain their community. The Chinese presence sent a clear message, a physical assertion of sweeping claims, disregarding the established Filipino community and their right to these waters. The standoff was not just about territory, but about the lives and futures of those who call Pag-asa home. The stage was set for an incident that would reverberate far beyond these contested waters, drawing the attention of regional powers and the international community. The world was about to witness another flashpoint in the South China Sea, one that would test alliances, challenge international law, and shape the future of this volatile region. The standoff quickly turned violent, as tensions that had been simmering for weeks finally erupted on the open water. A Chinese Coast Guard ship, bow number 21559, unleashed powerful water cannons at the BRP Datu Pagbuaya, targeting its decks and even the Philippine flags. The force of the water was so intense that it tore through tarps and sent crews scrambling for cover, drenching the deck and equipment in seconds. Within minutes, the same Chinese vessel rammed the stern of the smaller Philippine ship, sending a jolt through its hull. The sudden impact left the crew momentarily stunned, as alarms blared and the ship rocked violently in the churning sea. The impact caused minor structural damage, but the intent was unmistakable. This was a deliberate act of aggression. Scrapes and dents along the hull bore silent witness to the dangerous encounter, a stark reminder of the risks these crews face. The other Philippine vessels were also targeted by water cannons, though they avoided direct hits. Their captains skillfully maneuvered through the barrage, dodging jets of water that could easily have disabled their ships or injured their crews. The coordinated attack was clearly a calculated operation, not a rogue act. Chinese ships moved in unison, blocking escape routes and boxing in the Philippine flotilla, demonstrating a level of planning that left little doubt about their intentions. The Filipino crew, though shaken, managed the chaos with professionalism, documenting the assault on video. Amid the confusion, they kept their composure, recording every moment as evidence, even as water crashed over the rails and orders were shouted above the roar. This footage would become vital evidence of China's gray zone tactics, hostile acts that stopped short of open war but aimed to intimidate and control. The videos captured not just the violence, but the resolve of those who stood their ground. The events of that day marked a dangerous escalation in an already volatile region. Each confrontation increases the risk of miscalculation, threatening to ignite a wider conflict in these contested waters. The world now had undeniable proof of the risks faced by those defending Philippine waters, and the lengths to which China is willing to go to assert its claims. The eyes of the international community are now fixed on the South China Sea, watching to see what happens next. Pag-asa Island, also known as Thitu, is the heart of the Philippine presence in the Spratly Islands, a unique civilian community living side by side with a military garrison. Here, daily life unfolds on the front lines of a geopolitical standoff, where ordinary people share their home with soldiers, and every sunrise brings both hope and uncertainty. Unlike other remote outposts in the South China Sea, Pag-asa is not just a military installation. It is home to Filipino families, a small but vibrant school, and a modest town hall, making it a living, breathing symbol of Philippine sovereignty. Children play in the shadow of watchtowers, and families gather for community events, determined to build a future despite the tensions that surround them. The island's location is highly strategic, sitting near some of the world's busiest shipping lanes and just 20 kilometers from China's massive militarized Subi Reef base. This proximity means that Pag-asa is constantly under watch, its residents living with the knowledge that they are neighbors to one of the region's most fortified outposts. The waters surrounding Pag-asa are rich in marine life, providing essential fishing grounds that sustain the local community. For many families, fishing is not just a livelihood, it is a way of life, passed down through generations and vital for their survival on this remote island. Yet, these livelihoods are under constant threat. Chinese harassment of Filipino fishermen has become a regular occurrence, directly endangering the food security and economic well-being of Pag-asa's residents. Each encounter at sea is a reminder of the larger struggle playing out in these contested waters. For the people of Pag-asa, the conflict is not an abstract political issue. It is woven into the fabric of their daily lives. From children walking to school to fishermen heading out at dawn, everyone feels the weight of the ongoing dispute. The Philippines has maintained a presence on Pag-asa since the 1970s, anchoring its legal and historical claims to the island. Over decades, the community has grown, and the Philippine flag has flown as a testament to the nation's enduring commitment. Defending Pag-asa is not just a matter of military strategy, it is a question of national pride and territorial integrity. The presence of Coast Guard and military personnel underscores the island's importance to the country's identity and security. For Manila, Pag-asa stands as a powerful symbol of resistance against sweeping foreign claims. Protests and speeches in the capital echo the determination of those living on the island, uniting the nation in defense of its sovereignty. Though small in size, Pag-asa Island carries enormous significance. It is a front line in the struggle for sovereignty, a beacon of hope, and a testament to the resilience of those who call it home. The confrontation near Pag-asa is just the latest in a long saga of South China Sea disputes. China's sweeping 9-line claim overlaps with the exclusive economic zones of the Philippines and other Southeast Asian nations. In 2016, an international tribunal ruled in favor of the Philippines, rejecting China's claims, but Beijing ignored the verdict. Since then, China has intensified its gray zone tactics, water cannons, ramming, and swarms of militia boats. These actions are designed to wear down resistance without triggering outright war. Similar incidents have occurred at Second Thomas Shoal and Scarborough Shoal, raising the risk of dangerous miscalculations. Each confrontation increases the chance of escalation in one of the world's most volatile regions. The South China Sea remains a global flashpoint, with every incident raising the stakes. In response to the attack, the Philippine government acted swiftly, releasing video evidence and condemning China's aggression. Commodore J. Tariella declared that the Philippines would not surrender a single inch of territory, a message that resonated nationwide. This strategy of transparency aims to rally both domestic and international support, making it harder for China to deny its actions. Admiral Ronnie Gil Gavin reinforced the message: Chinese harassment only strengthens the resolve of Philippine forces. Diplomatic protests were lodged, building a legal record of Chinese violations. The current administration's assertive stance marks a shift from previous policies, strengthening alliances and exposing Chinese actions. Public support in the Philippines is strong, with national sentiment firmly behind defending sovereignty. Manila's message is clear: the Philippines will not be bullied into submission. China's official response was swift denial, blaming the Philippines for illegally entering Chinese waters. Chinese officials claimed their Coast Guard was conducting lawful enforcement near what they call Tiexian Reef, close to Pag-asa. Beijing described the ramming as a minor scrape, blaming the Philippine vessel for dangerous maneuvers. This narrative directly contradicts video evidence showing the Chinese ship initiating the collision. China's strategy is to muddy the waters, projecting reasonableness while dismissing the 2016 arbitration ruling. The fundamental disagreement over law and territory ensures these conflicting stories will persist after every encounter. The United States, bound by a mutual defense treaty, immediately condemned China's actions and reaffirmed support for the Philippines. U.S. officials called the incident a clear violation of international law and praised the professionalism of the Philippine crew. This strong backing boosts morale in Manila and signals to Beijing that the world is watching. Other partners, Japan, Australia, Canada, and the EU, also voiced concern, supporting the 2016 ruling and freedom of navigation. International condemnation amplifies the Philippines' voice and imposes diplomatic costs on China. The collective response isolates Beijing and reinforces the legitimacy of Manila's position. For the Philippines, global support is crucial in standing up to a much larger neighbor. The world's attention makes it harder for acts of aggression to go unchallenged. For Filipino fishermen, the South China Sea is not a battleground, it's their lifeline. Chinese harassment means empty nets, lost income, and growing poverty for coastal communities. The BRP Datu Pagbuaya's mission was to support these fishermen, making the attack a direct blow to ordinary citizens. Many now fish closer to shore, depleting local stocks and increasing hardship. The psychological toll is immense. Fear and uncertainty are constant companions at sea. Natural disasters already strain the Philippines. China's aggression only compounds these challenges. The human cost is paid not just by fishermen, but by families and communities across the nation. The struggle for the sea is, at its core, a fight for survival. The South China Sea is a vital artery for global trade. 1/3 of shipping passes through these waters. Any conflict here would disrupt supply chains and threaten the world economy. China's actions challenge the international rules-based order, undermining UNCLOS and setting a dangerous precedent. Aggressive maneuvers and ramming raise the risk of accidental escalation, especially with U.S. treaty commitments in play. A clash between major powers would have catastrophic consequences far beyond the region. The path to peace lies in diplomacy and respect for international law. The Philippines' defiance, backed by global support, is crucial to upholding these principles. The fragile peace in these waters is a matter of global concern. Its preservation is essential for a stable world.